What's up, dudes? This is a morning muse, very specific message. Now, this message has the opportunity to trigger people. I hear it like that. Okay, opportunity might mean something. And this is AP energy class. And so what that means is we're going to critically think. We're going to remove emotions from this discussion and critically think the facts, the hard facts. Don't get mad at the boombox because the song it's playing is triggering your ego and making you want to pick up the boombox and slam it against the wall because it's playing a song called The Truth that some people have been willfully oblivious to. So with that said, this message is not for everybody because our vehicles, our vessels, our bodies, our meat suit, our vehicle for the little light bubble we all have inside of us that we drive around, we all have different vehicles, and bodies often work just like cars if you conceptualize it that way. Some can run on electricity, some need diesel, some need unleaded, some need super unleaded. So if the electric car, for example, is telling everybody else how to power up, it's not working. And if the electric car starts bullying people into how to do it, that's called oppression. So what Spirit wants to talk about is the starving trend. The clean eating diet confusion. We're going to get real honest about vegan and vegetarians. Now, I want to preface this by saying I admire vegan and vegetarians' commitment to their beliefs. I admire it, I do. But what vegans and vegetarians need to remember is their vessel may run totally optimal on a vegan or vegetarian diet, but their kids might not, their loved ones might not. And we have a lot of food oppression happening. And we have to remember that human beings on planet Earth are animals too. So this goes out to the vegans or vegetarians and this is all respectfully said, it's not said with snark, but it may hit home with a wake up. There's a lot of ego that gets wrapped up in it. Everybody loves animals. Of course they do. How can people separate animals from pet? Like pet from food? I don't know. They just can't. Because they're animals too. So with that said, compassionate interpretation towards vegan and vegetarians, there are a lot that are such super animal empaths, they can't separate food and pet. And truly, how special is that to have that much compassion? I see a bunch of monks flogging themselves on the back with a cat o' nine tails, I hear. So let's honor that. Now, with that said, clean eating diet confusion. If you have ever fed your cat salmon, which if you have a cat, you have, but not allowed your kid to have it, you need to listen up. Especially if you fed your cat salmon and it never crossed your mind how the salmon was treated to make the salmon cat food for your cat. Because there's a lot of ego involved. Blow to bobbleheads of moral righteousness. You'll let your pet have what they need, but you won't let your child have all 4 food groups, including animal protein, that the human body functions the best on. And there has become a starving trend that has mind-fucked the collective of vegans and vegetarians. Now, no disrespect, if you and your family don't have problems with skin issues, allergies, sleepless nights, terrible stomach issues, if you don't have any depression, panic attacks, anxiety, if you don't have any of that, then this message doesn't pertain to you. But if you got a kid with stomach issues, listen up. The bossy know-it-all doesn't know it all. Somehow, somebody convinced people that an eating disorder is eating clean. So this goes out to touring bands, groups of people who tour, who they say, well, I eat everything when I'm not working, but when I'm working, we do a clean diet. Yeah, we start our eating disorder. It's no different than saying, like, so for example, if you're in a band and you do a big show and you think an order of Szechuan green beans from the vegan place is going to satiate you, you're delusional. Delusional. It's not going to satiate you. You have an eating disorder. All right? So somebody convinced, some people say, I eat whatever food I want when I'm not working, but when I'm working, I eat clean, which really isn't clean. It's a starving trend. Then you start getting sick. Everybody starts fighting. Depression kicks in. And it all blows up near the end of the tour. So somebody just gave wrong advice. And everybody wanted to believe it. It's like saying we're going on a big road trip and we're just going to run the car on fumes the whole road trip. And right before we get home, we're going to finally fill up the tank. So it should be flipped. If you are traveling on tour, all that stuff, you should be eating from all 4 food groups. When you're at home, sitting by the pool, sitting in the backyard, doing whatever, that's if you want to do a starving trend, do it then. But let's critically think and get back to basics, is the message from Spirit. All right, so here's the transmissions that came in. The bossy know-it-all doesn't know it all. Wrought iron gate finally saw the light keeper. Starving trend alcoholic is getting removed from child's life. By the grace of God, let's finally eat good food. Soy Rex spectrumy bellies. So if you are sensitive, if you are spectrumy, if you, I just keep hearing sensitive, you may have checked out different kinds of food, and somehow you're eating soy while still struggling. You cut all meat out while still struggling with this belly issue. Yeah, the soy makes it worse. Try salmon, chicken, feed me. Try salmon, chicken, fish, beef, pork. You'll feel better, fully nourished. Listen up, Emperor. That self-obsessed narcissist ain't gonna give your kid an eating disorder too. Divine intervention occurred. They'll feel instantly better. Galactic lesson begins. Humans are animals too. So 50% of ancient Egyptians ate red meat in their diet. No, not 50%. Ancient Egyptians, 50% of their diet was red meat. Everyone was eating red meat. And it was 50% of their diet. It was called aurochs. It was the ancestor to cattle. So we have these times when our little animals that we have are going through growth spurts, and they need to be fully nourished with the proper fat. And so their brains spark the proper way in their neural pathways. And around toddler time is when you are supposed to give your kid whole cow's milk, vitamin D cow's milk. We got some vegan know-it-alls who aren't giving their kid milk. They're giving their kid almond milk, flaxseed milk, nut milk, oatmeal milk. Yet none of that is milk. It's pretend. None of that is milk. It doesn't have the proper animal protein, fat, that's going to make your kid's brain spark up. So this mother says, well, no, I know better than everyone else. No, my kid is going to get nut milk. So just know when your kid starts kindergarten, all of their classmates will have had their brains prepped with the proper fat to grease the wheel, if you will. Yeah, that kid hasn't. Because the bossy know-it-all don't know it all. Okay? Here's the cold, hard facts. 80% is a little bit more than 80%, but just for easy math, 80% of planet Earth, the animals called the human beings, eat meat. 80%. The number one meat that's ate, fish. Number 2, chicken. The 20% that doesn't eat meat, that identifies as vegan or vegetarian, out of those group of people, it's 90-something% of those people say, I would eat meat if I was alone in a room with a plate, with a beautiful piece of meat cooked on it. I would totally eat it. 90% of those people say that. That's how few people are actually vegan or vegetarian. Well, tell us more about the 90%. They don't have access to meat. They can't afford meat. Or, this is where alone in the room is. They're with a person. I see this. They're with a person who does food oppression on them. And it usually sounds like this. Well, my girlfriend's vegan, so I'm forced to be vegan too. And she gets very pissed off at me if I eat what I crave. That's called food oppression. So 80% of the world eats from all 4 food groups, like the human body should. The animal, called the human, and they feed their kids from all 4 food groups, including animal protein. Because plant doesn't have that same fat that's required for optimal performance. Now I see those monks flogging themselves again. 20%, but really it's like 84%, so that's like, it's even more. But let's just say 20% that identify as vegan and vegetarian. Out of that 20%, only 10% of those people are actual vegan and vegetarians. The other are bullied into being it, or can't afford it, or don't have access to it, to meat. So that's what vegan and vegetarians have to understand, is they will never convince the world to join in on their eating disorder. They will never convince the world to fuck their kids' stomachs up by this starving trend. And that's specifically for the people who have those issues that I was talking about. Because you will feed your cat salmon and not think a second about how that fish was treated for your cat. Not 1 second about it, but you'll starve your child with your own bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness and fuck up their gut, the second brain. So that's the lesson for the bossy know-it-all who doesn't know it all. The vegan mama who keeps picking on her kid is getting yelled at by the universe and having the death of their bossy know-it-all ego. So let's listen to the transmissions again. Clean eating diet confusion. The bossy know-it-all doesn't know it all. Wrought iron gate finally saw the light keeper. Starving trend alcoholic is getting removed from child's life. By the grace of God, let's finally eat good food. Soy Rex spectrumy bellies. Try salmon, chicken, fish, beef, pork. You'll feel better, fully nourished. Listen up, Emperor. That self-obsessed narcissist ain't gonna give your kid an eating disorder too. Divine intervention occurred. They'll feel instantly better. Galactic lesson begins. Humans are animals too. All right, there's the message. Now with that said, that message, I'm not personally me. That's me doing my divine work, broadcasting the news from spirit. Personally, I'm not picking on vegans or vegetarians. I know a lot of cool vegans and vegetarians who say, I'm going to do me and you do you. No judgment. But I also know a lot of people who are very wrapped up in their food oppression and their bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness. And what it's gotten to is abuse. So don't get mad at me if you're feeling triggered by the truth. And maybe try, if you can, do it for your kid. See if they can feel better. If the bossy know-it-all who doesn't know it all gets out of the fucking way. There's the message.